Welcome back to this edition of Grizzlies Daily. I'm your host, Melek Robinson. Straight into it, just want to say I really appreciate all the support you guys have been showing to the channel. It definitely doesn't go unwarranted, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for y'all, so I really appreciate that. So if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you give us a follow over there and leave a 5-star review. Really helps the channel grow. So I really appreciate everybody for tuning in this morning. Now, let's talk about just some things that I'm seeing from as a result from other teams and how it kind of applies to the Grizzlies. Because at this point, it's not much Grizzlies news that's going to come out if it's not regarding the draft or trades. So, one of the things I was thinking about was the fact that the Grizz kind of picked the perfect time to do this retool slash rebuild kind of thing, and the reason is because when you look at it, you see teams like OKC and San Antonio. Hey, we can think like, hey, we're supposed to be where they're at, kind of thing, and completely understandable. But you also don't want to be in a position where you're kind of like the Minnesota Timberwolves. And what I mean by that is never really do anything to improve the team over the course of time. So now your stars are giving up hope. They can't get past the hump, all these things, and then you got players that just simply can't show up in the moment. I think I think there's definitely some parallels when it comes down to that. Not comparing not comparing any players to like a Julius Randle or anything, but just kind of how in same for instance 22 23. Hey, you know, we'll start with 22. Second round, Ja goes down. The others aren't really able to step up against that Golden State Warriors team. Granted, look, they did all they could. I'm not denying that, but definitely had some times where players just simply didn't play their best, and y'all know which ones I'm talking about. So it's just kind of like I can't be too upset with the timeline because when you look at the silver lining, we're not a team that's constantly, getting bounced second round. And I think that's kind of a positive about it because it's like, hey, we worked hard to get to this point and nothing to show for it. And honestly, I think this new generation can give us a possibility to essentially avoid that inevitable of what the Minnesota Timberwolves are doing because right now they could be blowing it up a little bit. So you definitely might see, some parallels when it comes to how we did things. I just think, we should be kind of optimistic about this rebuild retool timeline. Not defending anybody saying, "Oh, this is a solution," or anything, but it's just kind of like, hey, we just we just like we just want to see the team win. So I think give it basically a year or two. I think we get back to that point. That's what I meant to say. So next thing right here, just kind of give y'all the latest when it comes to John Morant and things like that. I know one of the long time discussions on this channel is whether or not John Morant will get traded, whether it's before or after the draft. I can tell you right now, there's not many, parallels that point towards a deal being done anytime soon. I mean, you're gonna see your mocks where you see, the Timberwolves, the Kings, the Bulls, all these things. Nothing is concrete right now, so that's why I can't say, you know, that's why I can't say, hey, this is looking like a deal that's going to be done kind of thing, or this is a deal too good to pass up on because the team isn't saying anything, and they probably won't for a long time. That's just how the Grizzlies operate. But you definitely have a moment where you definitely want to just simply uh, figure things out from their perspective because when it comes down to it, I think Ja Morant. I'm be honest. I know I'm a talker in Ja Morant possibly getting traded or whatnot, but there's still the possibility that he could stay. Just being honest. I really do think there's a possibility that he could stay. There's a possibility he gets traded. I really, really don't know at this point. But honestly, when it comes to certain mocks, I wouldn't sweat them because, look, I'll be honest. A lot of these mocks are more than likely a deal that's not going to be done. Let's just keep it above. I don't think the Timberwolves are going to trade Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle for John Moran. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think, Zach Levine is going to come here and stuff like that. It's just everything is mock. It's a possibility, so you have to keep that in mind. But ultimately, we won't find anything out probably until close to the draft because it's still unclear if the Grizzlies are even going to take a guard in the draft. So parallels point us to that way, but let's just be honest. We have no idea what's on the mind of the Grizzlies organization come time around the draft or even after the draft. There's really nothing we know right now. So hopefully we find something out soon. But I really wouldn't sweat all the Josh stuff. I mean, you can have your think pieces, and not telling you to not have that, but just kind of at this point right now, just take it out with a grain of salt because people do this every off season. So let's just kind of relax about it and just move on with business. The playoffs are here, and it's the most electric time in basketball. That's why on Kalshi, you trade every single playoff game, every series, the conference finals, and even the championship. And I'm gonna show you exactly how it works. So, way how it works, the San Antonio Spurs right now are trading at a 39% chance to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out to $245 if they take home the title. And as the playoff tees up, those numbers move in real time. You can buy in and out at any point. Now, if you wanted to pick a specific series, we'll pick the one that's going on tonight between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. And the Spurs right now are trading at a 50% probability to beat OKC Thunder, meaning $100 trade pays out to $193 right now if they win the series. And that's what I'll tell you. Once again, those numbers move in real time, and you can buy in and out at any point, and you can pick on any NBA market. Because on Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And once again, as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. That's why for a limited time, you can download the Kalshi app and use promo code FANARIBASKETBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, spelled Kalshi. You can trade on anything. Once again, there's no house, no gimmicks. Make sure to have fun and play responsibly. And shout out to them for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. All right. So when it comes down to the draft itself, there are some slight sleepers that I think the Grizzlies could potentially take an opportunity on when it comes to 16. I know we talk about the possibilities of, this pick being traded up, the Grizzlies taking whoever they want to, just off rip. I mean, we've talked about a number of names. I mean, whether it's Cameron Carr, Morris Johnson, Chris Sinag, just a lot of names that really are popping on radars. But a name that I am just now getting kind of familiar with is Ibuka Okori. He's a guard, 6'2", 6'2" and a half out of Stanford, and the numbers are something that I like to see. It really is. Averaged 23 points a game in college. Previous season, I believe he's a freshman. 23 points in college, 1.6 steals a game, only 2 turnovers a game. Solid rebound and assist numbers for his size. 35% 3-point shooter, 46% for the field, 83% for the free throw line. Honestly, it's kind of hard to not be upset with something like that. I mean, he's a pretty decent, he's a pretty good guard selection. I think he's a name that definitely should be on the radar, at least for some. Obviously, you got other names too if they were to take a guard. One being the guy from Alabama, LeBaron Fallon Jr. I still can't remember if I'm pronouncing his name right, but got selections right there. Obviously, we talked about even if they were to go to front court position, you have Allen Graves out of Santa Clara. That's a name that we talked about. Dalen Swain out of Texas, who is starting to become a growing favorite for a lot of people in the Grizzlies space. So that's a name to definitely keep an eye on. Amari Allen, even though I think he's more late round than anything, but definitely a guy that the Grizzlies have on their radar at least, holding the interviews with him. And then I know, obviously 32nd pick, I think we'll take another big with that. I really am big on Terrence Reed Jr. if he is available. So you do have that in mind. But I think 16, we don't know exactly who the Grizzlies are going to pick at 16, but we do know they could lean towards the guard position. So definitely something worth keeping in mind. Obviously, as they do more interviews and things like that, so you got to keep in mind that a lot of this could change. So that's just a name that I saw that someone was discussing. I was like, man, dude looks pretty good. So those are just the names to keep a watch out for. But yeah, I'm gonna read a few of y'all comments. I'm not gonna read all of them because y'all leave a bunch of them, and I couldn't think out more. It's just your boy got a headache. I ain't gonna lie, your boy has a headache. So I'm gonna just read the ones that really just stand out to me. Once again, appreciate everybody that left a comment talking about the 1K. I really appreciate everybody for that. First comment right here says, I totally agree with your comments about Edie. His availability and development are key factors in the team's progress. I expect greatness in our future. Yeah, and really, it honestly, it's not a shock to see that, that Zach Edey has the impact that he has, and it's like it's really not a shock to see the team have to be relying on that because we knew this when the time came. We knew that he was going to be at that. We knew Zach Edey would be at that point where he was going to be very impactful for the team. So to this, it's not really a surprise, but it's just something that I think a lot of people really need to remember. It's like, hey, yes, we have the star, we have the highlight reel, but when it comes down to true impact, we really have to kind of pick it up on who it really is more impactful. Not saying Ja isn't impactful, but numbers wise compared to Edie, it's kind of hard to put together if it makes sense. This comment here says great scapegoat comment was Ebo, T.A. Gasol, Conley, and Prince hit the floor. Other players weren't talking. They were likely in for a beatdown. The fans were going insane. Crowd was just as bad then. And the arena was packed. Again, I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and unless you go out in the suburbs, you risk your car being broken and stolen into. Also, I agree we all love Job after the second gun suspension. My heart dropped and he set us back 2 to 5 years. Um, I wouldn't say that one situation set us back. It definitely didn't help, but I wouldn't say that situation alone set us back. As far as the whole thing when it comes to city of Memphis, it's a scapegoat comment because it's like every city's gonna have their problems. Some cities, the criminals actually target the athletes. So I just don't get why. I just don't get the whole conversation about it because it's like every city's gonna have their negative, and it's like I feel like we're just saying this because LeBron said it. Draymond said it. Stephen A. said it. So it's got to be true. So we just agree with it. I'm not gonna even figure out if what's the truth to it. And it's just like it's just that kind of thing. Look, like I said, every city has their own issues, and it seems worse because it's publicized. But I promise y'all, it's gotten better over time. Next time right says, if I'm the Grizzlies, I still try to move up as high as they can to get a point guard in that 5 to 10 range. First, go for the Bucks pick at 10 or Golden State at 11 to use that pick at assets to try to get the 5, 6, or 7. Take the best available point guard in each scenario. Okay, so you're saying trade up to the 5 to 10 range. I mean, yeah, it's a possibility. Definitely something that we could see the Grizzlies do, but once again, there's no real evidence that he's gonna. There's no real evidence that he's gonna just be the guy that we want is going to be available like that. So just got to keep that in mind too. Next comment right here. I'm going to read back maybe two more. Completely agree with the Spurs comment. Now they can have the roster, but future they cannot. They would need to trade someone now to keep Wemby on the team because of the salary cap. Let's focus on winning in 2029 or something when that happens to them. We have 7 first-round picks for the upcoming years. We do. And I also see another comment saying Andre Drummond might be available for about $8 to $9 million a year. That is true as well. But when it comes to the Spurs team, you definitely could say that, but you also have to keep in mind that group is loyal. Like that group is loyal. I can see it. We might see another potential big three when it comes down to kind of like how the old Spurs was. I'm seeing it. I've seen it, and I'm kind of seeing it again. So definitely something to be wary about. I can't lie. Next comment right here. Cam Boozer fits a lot better next to Zach Edey because of the shooting he provides. And Caleb Wilson fits the Bulls a lot better, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boozer is taking it too. If Memphis takes Caleb Wilson, then you have two bigs who can't shoot and wouldn't be the 2009 offense. How would you feel if Memphis takes A Cup at 3? I heard Josh Giddey and the John Moran trade rumors. Honestly, A Cup at 3 is a reach. I think you can definitely trade down and still get the guy that you want if they really were to take that kind of deal. But honestly, even then, even one of the replies said it for me. Just being honest, I don't even think you take A Cup that high. I think they'll definitely switch to trying to get Darren Peterson at that point. So I don't even think that's a real possibility if I'm being honest. Yeah. Most of the comments are about Boozer and yeah. We'll read this lesson right here. It says, I completely disagree with you on the roster spot. Wells should never start over GG. He's proven he needs to be a starter, and so is Jerome. We need to be more realistic, and if we truly wanted a guard, we would trade back to 5 or 6 for the third and a player like Sabonis, Kawhi, Mathurin, and we would get rid of John and trade as well to get A-Cuff. And then with that 6th pick, we could trade up to 11 for a Damar. The Grizzlies fans are getting, 16th, I'm assuming. Trade for a Damar. The Grizzlies fans are getting too ridiculous. Need to be realistic. I don't necessarily disagree with what you got to say. I mean, look, I think if it was all up to us, Gigi Jackson would definitely be starting, but clearly the team has a reason why. I don't understand the reason, but Yeah, I mean, you basically kind of said what I said. If we truly wanted to guard, we would just trade back or either trade up from 16. So, um, got to keep that all mindset. Now, players like Sabonis, Kawhi, Mathurin, I really don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think Kawhi would want to leave LA, a town that he grew up in, to come here. Mathurin just got traded, and the Clippers are probably gonna throw him a bag if I'm being honest. And Sabonis is a possibility, but what would you what would you give up to get that deal done? That's just my thing. But that's gonna wrap it this edition of Grizzlies Daily. I really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like I said, I'm sorry I wasn't able to get through everybody's comments, but I promise the next video I'll make sure to take the time to get through all of them. It's just right now, this light being right here is really already killing me. So really appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you get notified when the next video comes out on YouTube. And if you listen to our podcast, Spotify, make sure to give us a follow and leave a 5-star review because it really helps the channel grow. And as for this edition of Grizzlies Daily, I will see y'all tomorrow. We'll continue to talk more about the all season and things going forward. So see you tomorrow, guys. Peace.